Thanks for tuning. Today I want to go for a different kind of video. It's not a rant. It doesn't want to be nothing else than food for thought on what's wrong with security architecture. So I've been spending 20 years designing things, and it's I covered the R&D roles, I covered the infra on-prem, I cover consultant roles, and I've been working in a plethora of industries. And I do realize how much the security architecture function is changing, but how much is wrong with that. So let's go following an order. First of all, what is a security architecture? The definition of what is supposed to be a security architect is the main pillar of all entire problem in the industry. Some think that two certification on AWS make you automatically an architect. Some just back are about a sysadmin kind of role. Others follow complete their own interpretation of the role itself. So if you look at CREST, you do have the full syllabus of what a security architect should be or should look like. The definition is somebody capable to zoom in and zoom out, be capable to approach the conversation from an architecture framework perspective, but be capable even to zoom into the layer. And it should be somebody that, being a security architect, somebody that know how things get compromised. First issue, not everybody does that kind of path and doesn't have the thinking on. So you see a lot of theory about threat modeling because it's fashionable right now, but it's so old-fashioned the way how we read it. So threat models suppose that you are having a continuous picture of the environment and the threat is continuously change. And you find tons of misunderstanding on the difference between risk and threat. I mean, if you don't have clear in your mind what's the difference between the two, you shouldn't actually define a roadmap because if you don't differentiate and you are not capable to understand that the threat evolve and the risk is way more static sometimes than the threat and that you should have a continuous process to evaluate the threat, you are not going to define a proper security architecture roadmap. I do see a lot of enterprise architects moving into security. I don't want to wonder why, but it's actually unbelievable how much the view of TOGAF vision is starting to get into the security architecture process. A security architect has to have a different thinking than an enterprise architect for two reasons. One, it was historically made of creating a framework where you were taking bits and pieces of a puzzle and put it together, creating a standard. A security architect, it does actually the reverse. It should be capable to dissect the full picture and understand how the pieces together change the attack surface, the attack vector, and the lateral move. That is what a security architect is. It's somebody that thinks as an attacker and is not focused on building, but is focused on dissembling what is having, trying to understand what is around. In terms of orchestration, the attacking surface is the orchestrator itself. And I don't see too many papers that really don't care about this orchestrator layer that magically does something. I mean, if you have a Terraform and you is having access to the S3 resources or something like that, you take the secrets and you actually compromise the environment. So a security architect is somebody that is capable to think in that way. So we are actually devastating the market with all these security architects that actually don't have the attacking capabilities, but more than everything doesn't have also the defending capabilities. Because I mean, when you are designing, you want to know if you have visibility, if you are actually capable to do forensics on something. And that is how I see the market right now. Plus, a lot of conversation based on history. I mean, you don't define the modern economy just based on the history. So I see over and over repeated uh, good books, but that are completely odd and off right now. So we are moving into a multi-cloud, cloud first, put it like you want. We all know that some decisions are made and driven more by economy than everything else, but it doesn't change the fact that you need to think in a different manner. And an SD-WAN orchestration that is out of your incident response domain, the DLP function and the complexity of having DLP properly tuned should give you a completely different way of thinking. And you can't take a book written in 2015 about threat modeling. It's unbelievable. It's like, I don't know, I'm passionate about motorbikes, but you can't learn about your modern engine with injection just referring to carburetor. Yeah, it's good to know how it used to work and understand what the injection change. But you need to be forward thinking, especially in a field where technology is going so fast. Do threat modeling only of application, not caring about the underlayer infrastructure doesn't give you a picture. But don't having feed for your threat modeling means that you are doing a snapshot. It's not a threat model. It's just a picture of what it is if it's actually what is supposed to be. So attack simulation with threat modeling, there are tons of projects about merging the two. Reliability engineering should merge with security monitoring. That is the new way of thinking. We are still having problem with gateway. I mean, onboard and do gateway. Where is the place where you actually have visibility? Stop to look into infra as a code, policy as a code, whatever as a code, if you don't have the thinking of actually do it. So what's the point that you talk about as a code when actually you don't look into protocol like SCAP or whatever is actually letting you to do that? And hardening is main function. So I see a tons of video reference books that are old school, but not old school in a good way. Are old school because people is starting to expect that somebody tell them how to do security architecture. Yes, the cloud service provider can tell you, but if everything was well architected with all this framework, why get compromised? Because it's missing some points, and you have another video about that. But because actually you should have the thinking, and the thinking shouldn't be related to product, it shouldn't be related to the technology, because the architecture is an abstraction, but it has to be related to the threat. And so you need to know the threat. And that is the problem. I see a lot talking about threat modeling just because it's fashionable, and if you don't mention that, it isn't cool. It's not just the topic. You need to know how to approach to the topic, and you should be forward thinker also on the amount of things that security wise in monitoring you could already take it from your reliability engineering. Everything like at layer 7, like all problem that we have with Magic Card, JavaScript, and all other stuff. You could have visibility on everything you do to monitor the application. And so you can know the color of the eyes of your customer almost, and you don't use that data for security. What's the point? So As you see, there is no thinking, and that is the problem. The market should push on that. And I'm a bit tired of this misunderstanding of what security architecture is. The security architecture is a big portion of strategy. And if you don't do it right, you not have a right strategy. And so you should be forward thinker. You should understand how to use data, which data you need, and everything structure. So I hope I open a bit your eyes on how much we are going to miss at the time that we deliver scalable solution in multi-cloud if you don't consider orchestrator, forensics. There are data breach every day. Forensics should be on top of your list. And automate forensics is extremely easy. API gateway should be mandatory. You shouldn't have an API endpoint straight into a pod. You need to be forward thinker on that and open conversation if you need an help. And I'm here for that too. And so, I mean, look at the forum about security architecture. You never find a question. You always find a statement. That's not a way to do it. It's not a way how other silos of security that I'm already unhappy that are considered silos, like threat intelligence, is based on collaboration. Security architecture should be based on collaboration too. You should have a conversation. But you see all these big, bold statements that don't stand technically because or are too abstract or are too specific. That's not the way how you can stay up to date with a threat. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Feel free to comment, subscribe, drop a message, a pigeon, whatever. I'm here, and thanks for listening. Take care. Bye bye.